Hi everyone, my name is Alea Leyland. I create and sell metaphysical jewelry, but I also have access to shamanic carved crystal skulls that were done either in South America, Brazil, and occasionally Nepal. At the moment, I have two crystal skulls that were shamanically carved in Brazil, in South America. Now, when I say shamanic carving, what this actually means is that the crystal is treated as a sacred object from the time that it is harvested from the earth until it reaches its eventual carrier. So they harvest the crystal from the earth in ceremony. They meditate before they do any work on the crystal. And all of the waste that comes from creating the crystal skull is then buried in ceremony. After the skull has been carved and is completed, hand polished, it is then hand carried from the time that it is completed until it reaches its owner. So they were brought from South America to Arizona, which is where I got one of them, and to New Mexico, where I got the other one. They were brought there, they were delivered to me by hand, and then I hand carried them. I didn't even put them in my luggage. I hand carried them from there to here in Hawaii. I have an interesting little story to tell you about their trip through the airport because, you know, with Homeland Security and the Patriot Act and all that stuff, when I was going through security with them, the crystals, actually, the skulls, show up in, you know, when they go through the x-ray thing, they show up as just a ball inside of my bag. So, of course, because x-ray doesn't pass through them, so of course the security people wanted to know, what is this, you know. So I asked for privacy, and so that meant they take you to the little room. Well, the gentleman that was the one who asked, you know, what is this, and wanted to take me to the little room, was not a very high vibrational or high frequency person. And so I really didn't want him to touch the skulls. But you know, it's Homeland Security, it's TSA, so you don't exactly tell those guys, you know, I don't want you to touch my stuff. You basically go, oh, okay, and you follow them. So anyway, I followed this man into the little room, and his assistant was with him, but evidently she wasn't allowed to touch anything. It was only him. And so he had me, you know, he set my bag on the table that had the skulls in it, and he's putting on his rubber gloves, and his energy was, oof. And so I didn't want him to touch my skulls. Anyway, he proceeded to open the bag, and he got a sneezing attack. The man could not stop sneezing. He was sneezing so badly he could barely catch his breath. And he eventually asked his assistant to call for backup. She picked up her walkie-talkie thing, called for another security person to come. They came. This new security person walked into the room, and he was a very respectful, very sweet man, probably Native American, possibly some indigenous group. And he said, I relieve you, and the other guy went off sneezing down the hall. And this man looked at me, looked at the bag. He never touched the bag. He just looked at the bag, and he looked at me, and he said, are you a shaman? And I said, no, I'm not a shaman, but I do carry shamanic tools. And he said, enjoy your flight. And so he never touched the bag. The crystal skulls were never touched by Homeland Security or TSA or anything else. And they made their trip to here in Hawaii, and they've been here ever since. So I do protect them, and I try to respect their wishes and make sure that they are cared for in the manner that they are destined to be cared for until they get passed along to their next caretaker. So that's their that's their story. The end of the 20th century in Sedona, Arizona, many of the ancient skulls that are above ground were at a ceremony on May Day in Sedona at the airport Mesa. This was before Nick Nocerino passed away, who is well known for his work with crystal skulls, as well as the carrier for E.T. and let's see, there was E.T., Shana Rao, which is Nick Nocerino's skull. Dale Walker was there with his skulls, and Yoki Van Daniken was there with her skulls, and so was the carrier of the Mitchell Hedges skull. They were all present at this particular ceremony, and at the end of the ceremony they opened it up and said, would you like to have the program for these skulls? Is there anything that you would like to put in here to have be a part of this ceremony? And I had just cleaned, I am going to show you this, I had just cleaned this Damantia. It was completely cleansed. I had taken everything out of it. I had cleansed it and I had purified it. And so it was in my possession when this offer to put things into the ceremony was made. And so I put this in the ceremony. What happened was everything that was in the ceremony, which included all of those crystal skulls that I just named, they imparted their program into this clear crystal, this crystal, Damantia. But they put them all in there together. So there's no way to get the programs out and separate them out again so that this is Yoki Van Daniken's and this is E.T.'s and this is Mitchell Hedges and there's no way to do that. You have them all. And so all of the crystal skulls that I have, in addition to the work that has been done with them as far as them being hand carried and shamanically carved and all of the ceremony that goes around that, every skull has the program from all of those skulls that were present at the airport Mesa. One last thing, there is a book that I wrote in conjunction with other crystal skull carriers that's called Modern Crystal Skulls. It is an electronic book. It gives you some of the information about the new studies that have been done on brain mapping of the modern crystal skull carriers and how their brain mapping corresponds to the skulls that they have been entrusted to take care of. The skull book comes with any crystal skull that you purchase from me. So that's the information about the crystal skulls that I have. I do hope you enjoy this. My email address is aleighland@yahoo.com. My telephone number is toll-free 888-212-6558. That's 888-212-6558.